Hey, what's going on? Daniel from these 7Cs. Hope you're doing well. Man, I'm super stoked about this one because it took a long time for me to track it down. This is the Les George VECP button lock. And man, was it worth the chase? Because I gotta tell you right off the bat, I really enjoy Les George knives. I've had the VSEP version 3 frame lock. I've had the Talos, and man, those are just two very phenomenal knives. But I'll say hands down, this has really become one of my favorites. Now, again, this is a button lock. I don't know how many versions he's come out with. I do know this is the latest iteration. He's using that Magna Cut. If you know anything about Les George, he usually uses that CTS XHP, but looks like he's kind of moved over to Magna Cut like a lot of knife makers these days. And man, this is a phenomenal knife. No, so quick size comparisons, because I didn't realize how big this knife is. But here you go. This is the largest Sebenza 21. I mean, actually, these are fairly comparable. I didn't realize that. I thought it was going to be bigger than that. Here's a Kershaw. I don't really show this a lot, but this is a really great, budget friendly option, and definitely is bigger than that Kershaw. And let me do maybe one or two more. This is a brown Cortex XL, and definitely is bigger than the Cortex XL. And last but not least, let me do the Skiff Fugitive. Really become one of my favorite all-time EDCs, as you can see. So definitely this is not a small, like a little pocket-friendly knife. It's definitely EDCable for sure. But if you're looking for something slim and light in the pocket, this is not it. Excuse me. I'll tell you right off the bat, this definitely does have some weight to it. I would guess it's gonna be about 5 ounces, and that's considering that it does have some weight relief pockets on the inside. But even then, it definitely has a presence in the hand and in the pocket. The balance point, I'll say, is right there, right where it's supposed to be. And so it feels very balanced in the hand for sure. But interestingly enough, I feel like the blade, even though it's like balanced right there, it does feel a little bit blade heavy. This definitely has a good chunk of steel on it. It's not super thick, but it's not super thin either. So let me see if I could bring this Sebenza 21, definitely thicker than that guy. Let me bring out the Mini FSDI. So let's say maybe it's a little thicker than the Mini FSDI. And let's see, so with the Fugitive, I would say it's actually fairly comparable to the Skiff Fugitive. So there's that. Now, I haven't had a lot of button locks come through in my collection. I think I've had the ProTech Malibu. That's really been the only button lock. And I think what I hear about button locks is that they're really fun to fidget with, very safe in terms of getting your fingers out of the way when you open and close the knife. But in terms of like lockup security, I heard that button locks are on the weaker side. In terms, there's a spring that essentially pushes that plunge over to lock up the blade, and with a lot of movement or like vibrations, it could kind of disengage that spring or something to that effect. I've never had that happen, so I can't speak to it, but that's what I've heard other people say. But it definitely does feel a lot more robust than the ProTech Malibu. I think it's the way that Les George engineered this knife. As you can see, from the get-go, it might seem like there's two button locks, one on each side, but this is not actually a button lock. This is stationary. It doesn't move. It doesn't push in. So really, you could only actuate the button lock on this side, right? This, I don't know exactly why it's engineered this way. based on what I could just observe, it looks like it was to provide more clearance and more room for that plunge lock to kind of retract into that space when you disengage the blade, which means that you could, I guess, technically engineer a thicker plunge lock to interface with the back of that blade, which I guess in theory would make it more robust and will mitigate the chances of that plunge lock sliding over, right? Because you have a wider kind of surface to deal with, a surface area to deal with. So I'm thinking that's probably what that's the reason why Les George engineered it the way he did. I think it looks pretty dope. It does, give you like a tactile kind of a indication of how to position your fingers when you are engaging and disengaging the lock. Again, this is stationary. And I think it just kind of adds, honestly, a little bit more like some symmetry to the visual aesthetic. Overall, I think he's really executed this knife really well. That button lock does not get in the way when I really just grip the knife. It's not in any way risking me like accidentally pushing down on that button, because it's definitely out of the way. Even when I use like that pinch grip is still out of the way. So that's great. I think the placement of the button is perfect. It is not recessed, as you can see. It does stick out. But again, it's out of the way, no matter kind of however way you grip it. As you can see, it's out of the way there, out of the way here, out of the way here. So perfect placement of that button lock. Blade is absolutely centered. This is rocking phosphor bronze washers, and honestly, Les George, he's the best in the game when it comes to phosphor bronze washers, because the action on this is just incredibly smooth. It honestly feels like it's riding on bearings. It's so easy to kind of thumb flick. I could depress that button lock and it'll just open up. Look at that. Boom. It's so smooth. I don't know what he does with his washers, the Talos and the VECP frame lock that I had. Same incredibly smooth action. So, man, props to Les George. Whatever he's doing in his shop, man, it is just incredible. The button lock is really easy to actuate. And here's a detail that I really, really love. I love how he's chamfered that button lock, that space. I feel like it gives it a bit more visual depth. It's not just a flat surface. And I love the stepped kind of milled button lock. So it just adds, honestly, just a lot more just visual kind of flair to the knife. Overall, like, just a beautiful, beautiful little detail. And tactile, like the feel, of that button is just, undeniable. As soon as I hold this knife, I know where to place my thumb to use that button lock. It is, as you can see, a captured pivot system. So love that. This knife is held together by 2 body screws and that pivot screw. Now, I believe that's a T20. It's a honker of torques. It is big. And I love that. It is just less chance for me as a user to screw up or mar that screw. I believe there's T10s, if I'm not mistaken, but these are big hardware that Les George is using, and I absolutely appreciate that. The pocket clip is very, very simple. It looks like it's a stamped kind of titanium pocket clip, no frills. And then of course you got that lanyard to hold that. Typically I don't really put lanyards on my knives, but it's there if you are that person. Yeah, and then overall, just this is a really straightforward titanium button lock EDC. Nothing too fancy going on other than just how robust that button lock mechanism is. Interestingly enough, one thing else I noticed is the way he kind of milled out the space kind of in the tang area of the blade. I think that is to interface with that lock bar in the closed position. Or actually, no, I mean, that's my bad. It's actually to interface with that plunge lock bar when it's closed, and I think that's really the only function it serves. And then as you open the knife, of course, that plunge lock slides over, and then rock solid lockup. I mean, this thing feels as rock solid as I would say like my Sebenza 21. Just no wiggle, no movement whatsoever. This thing is ready to rock and roll. Now, I love this Magna Cut. I think Les George is really dialed in his heat treat and his cutting geometry, because this thing zipped through cardboard boxes like nobody's business. The feel of the cut was just so glassy. There was no resistance whatsoever. And again, this is not a thin blade stock, but man, this thing just cut through cardboard like butter, man. And it's the same experience that I had with his other models. So I mean, whatever he's doing in the shop in terms of heat treating his blades is just super dialed in. Other than that, multiple opening methods. You could thumb flick it, super easy. You could depress the button lock and fling it open. You could slow roll it, super easy. It does have this kind of dual thumb stud. You could take out this thumb stud, I guess, by loosening that screw right there. But yeah, the detent on this, I would say, is perfect for a button lock. It's not firm, but it's not too soft either. I'd say it's just right in the middle. So it's really comfortable to just slow roll it out. I don't have to fight the resistance. Again, thumb flick it. I could even middle finger flick it, no problem whatsoever. This is a perfectly engineered knife. I mean, if you're looking for a robust tank of an EDC that could really, honestly, probably could handle everything you throw at it, this will, honestly, I think it really fits the bill. Just has such a presence in the hand. Absolutely love it, man. This is I can't really think of anything like negative to say about this knife, other than, maybe you're the type of person that wants to carry a small, slim, lightweight EDC. Again, this knife is not that. It has a presence in the hand, in the pocket, has some weight to it. You're gonna feel like you're using a pretty robust folder. I have medium-sized hands and have more than enough real estate on that handle. Interesting enough, also, I did hear someone mention that this button lock configuration is actually a little bit longer than the standard VECP frame lock that he puts out. I think the guy was kind of comparing it, doing a side-by-side, and I think the button lock came in about an 1/8 inch longer than the VECP frame lock, which is interesting. I'm not sure why. I could imagine he could kind of shave it down, because there is a lot of kind of space between the tip of the handle and the tip of the blade. I would imagine it's just to really accommodate that lanyard hole, which I don't have a problem with. If, again, I think he's really trying to accommodate those that want that feature. Another thing is it is swappable to the other side. So for those left-handed users, this is lefty friendly. You're just gonna have to contend with the button lock being on your using the pointer for that button lock versus your thumb, which I don't think is a big issue. But yeah, I'm glad he kind of thought about the lefties out there. But yeah, other than that, this is a very straightforward kind of a titanium button lock folder. The stone washing on this has been done really well. There's a nice kind of a sheen to the blade finish. It's very similar to his CTS XHP, the way he does his. He does it on those. It is stonewashed, but like I said, it is a little bit reflective, which I think I love that. On the handle, very straightforward. You got these very large chamfers that run pretty much all around the handle, so it's very comfortable. And then he kind of scalloped that area right there. So when I'm really holding it like this feels so comfortable. And I love that about Les George knives. Like all of his knives that I've owned, it's been just incredibly comfortable to use. And I think it really just goes back to the fact that he really wants us to use his knives. It's not just kind of pocket jewelry. He wants us to take it out into the real world and just use this tool for what it was intended for. And you know, that comfort just really really is a testament to that. Phenomenal knife, phenomenal knife. Very large jimping. Love that. It doesn't like rip into the thumb, but gives you just enough traction to lock that knife in if you're going to be using it like this. But yeah, that is all there is to say about this knife. It's a phenomenal knife. If you're able to snag one of these, or if you have an opportunity to get one, I'd say, man, don't hesitate, because these things, honestly, on the secondary, they'll go super quick. Straight from Les George, these things sell out like, I mean, I've never been able to get in on one of his drops, because it just sells so fast. There are some dealers that I've seen would drop some of his knives. I think DLT Trading once in a while will have some of his knives available. Les George, his website, sometimes he'll do a drop through there. In terms of price, how much does it cost? I think straight from him, I think these come in at like $425 if I'm not mistaken. Now on the secondary, that's a little different story. I've seen them go anywhere from 500 or like 450 to 500. And again, these things do not last that long in the secondary. Like, so if you're looking to get one, I'd say just like be diligent, be patient, because they will pop up here and there. I waited like, what, 2 years, a year and a half to finally find one, and was able to pick one up. But other than that, this is definitely worth the chase. This knife is just phenomenal in every respect, and super happy, super just glad that I was able to snag one of these. With that being said, would love to hear your thoughts, your comments on this. If you own one, what's your experience like? Especially, I would love to hear what it's like in real world usage, you know, with that button lock configuration. Would love to hear stories. With that being said, if you like what you're seeing, feel free to give me a subscribe and a thumbs up, and I will see you guys soon. Take care now.